Hi, I'm Duke.
And I'm Lola.
And this is BossaNova Life.
And today we are going to get to know...
That's right, the famous Doug Horne, the Atomic Era Tiki artist.
Sounds good.
How you doing, Doug?
Sounds good. Good to see you guys.
Good to see you too. Yeah. Welcome to our humble Zoom abode.
That's right. We were expecting to see you in a spectacle like us, but you're in Arizona today. So what's going on?
Yeah, normally I have a really cool tiki background that's my living room in Long Beach, but I'm out in Phoenix right now taking care of family business. And so I'm in my boring guest room at my parents' house. So like, it's not in the basement.
Care of mom and dad.
Say
that's important word.
Yeah. Do you get free meals there though?
I help out with the meals, so yeah.
Okay.
It's
does your mom give you like turn down service? Does she like make
little mint on the pillow?
That's right.
Yeah, it's actually a
fills
really
up the
cool
mini
house.
fridge with liquor.
Yeah, they live in a really, the place was built in 1976, so it's got kind of a shag era vibe to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got like a hanging suspended fireplace. It's got sunken living room. It's got a spiral staircase
from in front of the fireplace. We want.
I know, really. I know. So this is the boring guest bedroom.
We're just happy to have you here. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I would describe Doug as, like I said, you're not a lowbrow artist. You're a tiki artist. You do some horror. You do some custom culture. You do mugs. You do paintings. How would you define yourself?
That's pretty good. Like I said, I don't consider myself so much a lowbrow artist. I do a lot of tiki stuff. That's probably my main thing. I love venturing into horror, and I love doing mashups. But yeah, I've been an artist all my life, so it's kind of not something that's new to me. I was a graphic artist before doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah, the horror, you do like Elvira, Frankenstein, Dracula.
Yeah.
You got all of the...
Oh, the monsters. I just love the
monsters.
Yeah, love them.
Well, I love all the classic... I'm a huge B-movie, classic Universal Monsters fan.
Mm-hmm. But Hammer films, is that what I was hearing?
Yeah, so I love all that stuff. And I love the B-movie creatures they're more obscure. Like you look at this thing, and go, what is that? It's like, oh, it's from a movie from 1956. Yeah. Like 5 people have seen.
I love those. She is always like, what are you watching? I'm gonna fall asleep if you keep watching this.
Yeah.
Some of them are really good, and some of them are really bad in a good way, and some of them are just bad.
The worse the monster is, almost the better. I love stop motion too, so I've got a big weakness for stop motion.
So you got to be in the right mood for it, So I mean, I love films. I love new films. I love all sorts of stuff. So, I'll watch a romantic comedy or some gruesome horror zombie film. So
and if they're mixed together,
and everything together. Yeah, really. I think there's been some movies made like romantic zombie films.
Yeah.
So do you have like any I guess most famous pieces that you've done?
That's a good question. Most famous. I've done some work for Disney.
I guess might be better.
I've done some work for Disney. I did some work for Fender guitar. Fender did a series of 4 tiki acoustic guitars I did artwork for. Those are out in the wild.
Yeah,
that was a while ago that I did that. God, that's a good question. I don't know. I guess the fans would have to tell me that. I don't know.
So maybe the better question is, do you have a favorite piece, or is that even more difficult?
Or is it hard because it's like choosing your favorite child?
I've been kind of venturing into some of the pinup stuff with the exotic pinup kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that.
Trying to get better at that. It's I have one I did. It's kind of an album cover looking. It's square. It's called Exotica, and it's basically a head and shot image of a woman holding a tiki mug that's flaming, and it's got a tiki behind her. She's rendered blue, so she's not flesh tone. She's more blue.
Yeah.
So that one's been really popular. That's kind of a fun one that I like. Some of my other horror stuff. This one I did called Nosferatu's Gothic Paradise.
I know that one.
Is a fun one. I did a whole series of the Universal monsters sitting at tiki bars. So they're basically sitting there with a exotic drink, flowery
Yeah.
drink. You know, I
think
love
you
mixing
had-
the horror with the exoticness of a soft, you know, umbrellaed tiki drink. I think that's kind of funny.
A girl drink.
I think
Yeah,
you
We
had
exactly.
always
some,
joke that tiki drinks are girl drinks, really.
Yeah.
when we were at Viva in 2019. I think you had some of the Monster series.
Yeah, I think I've done about 4 or 5. I've done Dracula. I still got to do Werewolf. And I haven't done Phantom of the Opera, but I've
That's a
done,
good
you know,
one.
The Bride. I've done a few Bride pieces. Another favorite is Monstrous Beauty, which is it's basically a nude portrait of the bride from like the thighs up, you know. So but it's really classy. You know, it's not X-rated or anything.
Yeah.
X-rated
So that
TV.
iconic hairstyle that she has is.
Yeah.
It was kind of a fun piece. It was very dramatically kind of lit and stuff. So that's another favorite piece. So The Bride's
Yeah.
always fun to do. You know?
That is a good one. So yeah, such a beautiful, iconic picture.
How
Beautiful,
long?
but I love it.
How long have you been doing art?
Yeah, well, real quick, like, what is the early days? What
Yeah,
are the
I mean that's what
early
we're getting to.
days
Yeah, what are the early days?
of Doug?
Actually, I have memories in grade school of like my notebook was covered with drawings. You know, I saw someone that had done a drawing, and I was like, "Wow, that's really cool." He took a blank page and created this piece of art. So it's always been something I've wanted to do. I also was raised in an artistic family. My father and mother met in art school. So mom was studying fashion. Dad was a cartoonist, graphic artist. So I had that. I had that support in my family. You know, I've known artists that wanted to be artists, and their family's like, "No, you can't make a living doing that. What are you thinking?" So,
and your family's like, "Well, I'm glad you didn't choose to be a doctor."
Well, no, my dad was like, "No, what are you thinking? What are you doing?"
Yes, like I was hoping
screw
you'd
you,
be
Dad.
smarter
I'm
than
going to
me.
be an artist, just like you.
That's so funny.
So
I learned it from you, Dad. From
yeah,
you.
exactly. I'm going back to my room. So I loved sci-fi growing up. So my early days, I was doing a lot of sci-fi stuff, you know, like UFOs and.
See, that's my biggest weakness. I still have quite a bit of sci-fi art actually in the Tiki Bar. That's the only thing. Everything else is pretty 60s, 50s, authentic. But then I've got like Dr. Brainbender and the Killbots robot over there, and I've got like different book covers from. I also used to own bookstores, used bookstores.
Oh, cool! Really?
Love collecting the old Ace paperbacks and things like that. I love the old sci-fis.
Yeah, I've got a huge collection of the adult 50s and 60s paperbacks.
Oh, those are amazing. I never hung on to them because they're worth too much money.
Yeah.
Those things are mad collectible.
But the cover art is so good.
So I collected those like in the 90s, and I had my bathroom was just covered with them. I'd pin them up on the wall.
Yeah.
And so I went through a period like, I'm going to sell these off. So I got rid of some of them. So then I went out years where I didn't collect at all. So in the last few years, I've started getting on eBay again. But I told myself, I'm just going to buy stuff that's really cool. It's really weird. And because some of that stuff's cheesy and I love it. And
he doesn't do lowbrow art, but he definitely appreciates lowbrow.
Yeah. So there are these adult paperbacks, like so I collect for the covers, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I've never read one of these things, you know, because what I've heard is the covers are super racy, but the inside writing is pretty tame.
Actually, I used to read them out loud to her in the bookstore. Oh, it's hilarious! They're
nice.
They're so bad. You could definitely tell an old man wrote these books.
Right.
What they think would be sexy or something like that. It's just hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do feel like the mid-century sci-fi stuff is, I mean, it's from the same era because it's all about kind of like forward thinking and reaching for the stars and all of that. So,
well, you know, I think a lot of it for me was, it was the fantasy of science fiction and going out into space. And, you know, I loved, you know, and when Star Wars came out, I ditched high school. I'm going to age myself here. I ditched high school, my junior year in high school. And I went to the Cine Capri Theater here in Phoenix. And There was no line. I walked right in, and because I saw the commercial on TV and I was blown away. I was like, "Oh my God, this looks amazing!"
Yeah.
So sure enough, the movie was great, and I loved it. And I think I was at that age where I was going into end of high school. So then after that movie, I kind of lost interest because then Alien came out, and that movie blew me away. I was like, horror with sci-fi was awesome. So that kind of took me. So and part of me is like, the sci-fi thing is kind of a fantasy, and that's the way I look at Tiki. It's kind of merged me into Tiki later, going into the 80s and 90s, So that was
it's amazing to think that the year before Star Wars came out, that Logan's Run came out the year before, and if you go back and watch Logan's Run, the quality of that movie versus Star Wars is like a D plus C minus movie in quality, and they spent tens of millions on it. It was, people think it was a beef. Like, actually, Logan's Run was like one of the most expensive movies of the year. I love these weird statistics. And then Star Wars comes out with a lower budget and like just annihilates it on quality. And then same thing with like Battle Beyond the Stars. Like the difference in quality is just massive jump. And then all of a sudden you come to Aliens. And the quality.
How dare you? I love Logan's Run.
I love Logan's Run too. No, I own it on DVD. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying though is with the quality of the film work and all of that, not the acting so much.
No, I've thought about that too. It's like there's that jump. When you have that budget and you've got that quality director.
Yeah, to think that they spent like 10 times more than Star Wars, and yet the quality of the film is like it's not even a comparison.
Well, like Alien was 79, so I was like, okay, the key to that was that you hardly even saw the alien till the end.
That was more like Jaws, right? They hold back on you.
That was,
which is so much better. Yeah,
you don't want to see it. Your mind comes up with things that are way scarier. And then
I always think of my favorite scene in the Ed Wood film where Bela Lugosi is flopping around with that fake squid in the water. I forget the movie. Is it Plan 9? No, not Plan 9. I forget the film, but it's the Ed Wood. Yeah, it's that scene is so hilarious. He's basically moving the tentacles and
So you started with drawing. When did you like cross over and start actually like selling pieces?
Like this was your job.
Yeah.
Your job.
Well, I in the beginning I kind of went down the graphic arts route. So I had an art school teacher. I went to art school in Denver, Colorado, and I had an art school teacher. It was an illustration class, and he goes, no one will ever make it as a living as an illustrator. The numbers are so against it, So I kind of went more graphic design route, logos, layout, stuff like that. And in the meantime, on the side, I was just drawing just for fun. And I worked at a TV station here in Phoenix for a while. I left that job to do freelance illustration, and then that market crashed. So I kind of hit this point. I was working on my own. The market crashed, and I was like, okay, I either got to go to get a 9-to-5 as a graphic artist, or just start drawing and painting stuff that you want to paint, and there was this new thing called eBay had come out, and I'd been buying on eBay, my finished paperbacks.
Like 96, 98.
Yeah. So, I was buying these paperbacks. I was doing a lot of buying on eBay, but I was like, okay, you can sell on eBay. And it was a great way for an artist to be independent and put your artwork out there. And so I was putting out prints for sale, and it's a great way to test the waters if there's a market for your work. And at the same time, I was collecting Tiki Mugs, and I was kind of getting into the whole Tiki thing. And I started visiting some of the old, like the Maikai and the Kahiki in Ohio. So that was another springboard for me going into Tiki. So that route was I hit that fork in the road, and I was like, it kind of took me down another route.
What is your preferred medium to create in?
It's funny because coming from the graphic art world, corporate jobs, they embrace digital art. Mm-hmm. So while I was working my job, I was doing more digital layouts and stuff like this, working on an Apple. And so I learned that. It was nice because I had a 9-to-5 job there. I was learning that stuff. So then coming out as an illustrator, again, in that world, they like digital art. So I was trained, drawing paper and painting and pastel and stuff like that. But so going into the tiki stuff, I was doing mostly digital artwork, and those were the early prints that I was selling. So as my popularity gained, I kind of people were asking, "Do you have any original pieces?" So then I kind of got back into doing original. So now I still do digital stuff, Photoshop, Illustrator, but I do mostly dry media like pastel, pencil. I do watercolor. So yeah, Tom, Laura, and Ken Ruzick are always teasing me. I don't do enough painting, but it's and I still feel like I'm trying
about it. Something that
What's
is
that?
like something tactile about it, like you
Yeah.
are touching exactly what you're creating with your own flesh.
Well, that I know, because that was what was kind of fun about years. I did a lot of the digital stuff, and I had fun doing it. It was a great learning experience too. I think I improved as an artist doing it. But then when I went back to creating original art that was on paper, and you're working on the speed, that texture and that idea of that this is a one-off piece, and it's that was kind of cool. So
okay. So second part of the question. So we know what you how you enjoy to create. How do you like to consume your media? Because I think this is a fun one, because everybody likes to consume media.
She likes
in different
old
ways.
movies.
Old movies, yeah.
I have an old Philco TV that I use. Basically, I dumped my cable 10 years ago.
Media or art? Consuming, that's what I meant to say. What you like to consume.
Okay.
How do you consume art, whether it's media or?
Oh, probably movies and books. Yeah, books with lots of pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's cool.
He's got Curious George book. He's got them all
exactly. I love documentaries. I love that Frank Sinatra documentary was awesome. I love learning about. I love old history stuff.
You're from Arizona, right?
Originally.
Yes.
Originally. Yeah. And so in your childhood, obviously you didn't have beaches and tiki and all of that. What kind of drew you into the tiki scene? What was it that made you go, "Hey, this is me. I like this stuff"?
Well, we did have a place here called Big Surf. So it's a giant wave pool, basically.
That's the beach
it's still
in
here,
Arizona
actually.
They're always trying to sell you.
Yeah. So I didn't. Not that I went there all the time, because it's like fake beach,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what's a Arizona boy doing into Hawaiian tiki stuff?
I'm an Oregon boy into it, so there you go.
Well, we are on the Pacific, so
yeah,
but
true.
But you probably, I think Arizona, you have some of the aesthetic there. You've got the palm trees and
I don't know that it was necessarily my environment. I never was really into Southwest art, like Western art, and because it was so prevalent here. Like paintings of the Grand Canyon and Western, cowboys, and not my thing. Howling coyotes, wasn't so much into that.
Would it be from what you're saying to me? It sounds like that maybe it's the fact that you like the sci-fi, you like that fantasy kind of realm. You like those B flicks, and really Tiki is kind of an extension of that. It's not a real thing. It's not a real era that ever really existed. It was a fantasy world created.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, I think that as well as my interest in 1985, I think it was mid 80s. My roommate walked in with these really cool mid-century modern matching lamps, and they had these fiberglass lampshades. And I'm like, where the hell did you get that? I thought it was the coolest thing. And he goes, "Oh, it's this shop down on Thomas Road called Do Diddy." And so I rushed down there. I'm like, "Oh my God, this place is amazing." And I bought a boomerang coffee table. And so that was kind of the point, I think. So I think it kind of grew from there, but also, the exotic nature of what a tiki is, and the mystery of it, I think, was really appealing to me. And you walked into some of these old bars that it was like walking into a different place, not totally in Oregon or Arizona. You're in Tahiti. I thought that's pretty cool. And then the layered tiki bars with all the layered, the thing is, mid-century modern is very minimalist kind of thing, whereas tiki is very layered, lots of stuff. Yeah, I kind of mix the two. I appreciate home bars that have that stay true to the Polynesian tiki stuff. For me, it's tough. I try to do it, but I find a cool 50s advertising piece, like a Jiffy Dog hot dog cooker, and I got to put it in my bar. It's
Well, I
don't think there's anything wrong with
I've been
that.
saying for years to everybody that go back and look at the old black and white photos from back in the day, and several things will immediately stand out to you. A, everybody's wearing suits and ties.
Yep.
And B, they just threw everything at the walls. So this idea that people have that they could go back to like 1962 and all you're going to be hearing is Exotica, and they're like, no surf rock. I'm like, oh, 100% surf rock being played. Like, are you crazy? They're probably also playing Frank Sinatra and jazz in there. You know what I mean? Like, they were just, it was an eclectic mix of what's it, Flotsam and Jetsam or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's kind of what Polynesian pop is after the GIs came back, they wanted to recreate that, and they started making these tiki mugs that were not really tiki, but had that influence, but they were kind of stylized, it's for their custom bar mug that they wanted, to stuff. I just saw a great video of this woman and her husband, and I'm sure you've seen these people where their house is top to bottom 50s. And it's amazing. I could never do it. And I had a friend in Phoenix here that he took it to the point where when you open his kitchen cabinet in the front, he had all vintage old canned food. And then behind that was the modern new food.
How do you get to it?
It's like,
yeah. And he had a microwave from the 50s, and it was like head to toe, and it looks amazing. But I don't have the discipline to do something like that.
That sounds
Those
like
people are very dedicated.
Yeah.
We did a video like 2 years ago when we were in Nashville at a tiki bar called the Hale Manu. So if you ever look on our channel and just look up Hale Manu or go back to there, and they're a super adorable couple, and the whole top floor was all mid-century and 50s everything. But then you go down into the basement and they have the most magnificent tiki bar, like straight out of that. And the one is like minimalistic and very 50s with all of the, the chrome chairs and the the countertops and all of that. And then you go down. So they found a way to mix the two by basically putting them in separate rooms, I guess.
They did a great job. And it's just, their home was they were very welcoming.
Their house was amazing. You only see like maybe 30 seconds of the upstairs because I introduced it in the upstairs. I'm like, let's go downstairs and check this out. Because I had to shoot it. I'm like, you have to see this living room.
Charles Phoenix did a video, was a Christmas decorated house. I think the house was 1953. And they had the outdoor, all vintage decorations outside. It was, and then he went inside, and I was like, it was amazing. It was just,
the whole house was just Christmas all the time.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't think it was all the time, but
I thought it was like 50s Christmas every day.
Whenever I see people, I'm very jealous of people who have this much vintage holiday wear. But then I'm like, do you have a whole storage locker to keep your tubs of holiday stuff? It takes up a lot of room.
Yeah, because when I got into it, I was probably kind of late in the thrift store thing. I would find some lamps, but they would need to be rewired. It's missing the lampshade, or it's cool, or stuff that would need work, and it would just pile up, and I would never get to it. And I'm like, because you'd go to find the really true cool stuff, and by that time, late 80s into the 90s, it's starting to get pricey.
Yeah.
The guy that owned that shop, Duo Diddy, I asked him, because before Ed DeBevics came along, he said people would walk into a shop and go, what is this? These aren't antiques. What is this crap? And then when Ed Bevics opened up in Phoenix, which I know it hit California first, he goes, things took off for him. He said things started selling. I don't know if that was like maybe the late 80s or something.
So you mentioned going to live shows to sell your art, and we've seen you there, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Being people who also go to like weekenders and events,
or used to go to weekenders.
Yeah, eventually we'll all go back to these things. Yeah. We have our own little ways to like unwind or get away for just a tiny bit. What do you do when you're at one of these long events that's maybe lasting a couple of days and you just want to unwind? What's your secret?
Well, most of the time when I'm at these things, I'm selling. Like during the day, like Tiki Oasis, Viva's hours.
I know you're there long. Like 12 hours a day, man.
Yeah. Yeah, Viva used to sell till 2 a.m, and it was painful. It's like you're there all day. So now I think they changed it to midnight or 1 or something, which is a little better. I basically go back to the hotel and go to bed. That's kind of what I do.
I've got
exhausted.
I've got photos of him with us to prove otherwise. By the way,
Yeah, you get some partying in. Come on.
it was the last night. It was a Saturday night.
Yeah.
And
So-
you and Tom were rolling around.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes if I got enough energy, I'll go out and see a band, at Viva, for instance. Tiki Oasis, I probably tend to do more room crawls and hang out, at those events. Although the room crawls, like the last few years, have been pretty crazy, So the events, my first, being in Arizona, the whole Tiki thing was pretty dead here. The scene here wasn't as strong as it is today. When I was doing this Tiki, a lot of the stuff I was shipping was going out to California. And my first event out there, so I'd been kind of selling on eBay, and my first event out there was Tiki Oasis. I think it was the fourth one in Palm Springs. I remember it being so hot. It was like 105.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that struck me about the whole Tiki scene was just everyone was so friendly, and there really was this aloha spirit. People were invited. This is before I even knew what a room party was. They were like, "Oh, come up to my room for a drink." And we're like, "Are you guys swingers? What's going on?"
Or are you going to roofie us?
Yeah, exactly.
I always think that would be like the most awkward Tiki thing when they invite you to the room and you're like, "Yeah," and you walk in like, "Oh, wrong kind of room."
I'm a little dizzy right now.
Look at the time.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone was super friendly, and I love the rockabilly stuff, and the car scene stuff. That was a little bit of, there's definitely crossover there. The vibe there was a little different. It was about the fashion. It was about the bad boy thing for me, which I'm not a fan of, that kind of macho thing. It was just different, but there's definitely the crossover between the two,
You bring up an excellent question that I was actually going to ask earlier, and I forgot to ask, which is, obviously you go to Viva, and I've seen you at other things like that. What are your feelings? It sounds like you do like classic cars, and you do like rockabilly music and all of that.
Yeah.
But you're more of a Tiki guy?
No, I love rockabilly. It just depends on my mood. I like Exotica, a bit more mellow, like Martin Denny, and my website was called Swamp Fire. So here's a little bit of Doug Horne trivia for you.
Yeah.
Give it to us, buddy.
Yeah. So when I first started on eBay, I created this logo, and I called myself Mr. Crafty. So I based the logo on like this 50s guy holding prints. He's got a paint palette, and he's this kind of little character. And after that, for like a year, I did these little authenticity cards that had Mr. Crafty on it. And I was like, "Oh no, Mr. Crafty is the dorkiest thing I think I've ever come up with." It's like, I got to come up with a better name than that.
You could have redone that Beastie Boy song. He's crafty, and
right.
He gets around. He's crafty.
So I came up with Swamp Fire. So I love Martin Denny. So he has a song called Swamp Fire. I thought it had a more exotic kind of feel to it. So that was my name on Tiki Central. But yeah, the rockabilly, I love old classic cars, and I'm not mechanical in any way. So I just love the look of them. I used to drive classic cars when I had a 63 T-Bird. I had a Chevy station wagon. They had the rumble seat in the back. And it actually had air conditioning in Phoenix, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's good.
But mechanically, don't know how they work. Don't really care. So, but I just love the look of them.
I just like, I'm like, what color is it? What's the interior look like?
I grew up poor.
How big are those fins?
I know how to fix it. I know how to fix cars. I had to, otherwise I wouldn't. My car wouldn't have stayed on the road very long.
So when I worked at the TV station, I had my 63 T-Bird, and no air conditioning at all. It's the middle of summer, so I would drive it to work every day. And when I first day I drove it to work, all my workmates like, "Oh, let's go to lunch. Let's ride in the 63 T-Bird." So we all pile in, and the key to surviving with no air conditioning in Phoenix in the middle of June is to keep the car moving with the windows down
very fast.
So that, like that hair dryer thing, you got to keep the air flowing. So we pull out, and we pull into a left-hand turn lane 5 cars deep. So it turned into this joyous ride to like hell. Like, get me out of this thing. It's 105 degrees.
Everybody's like pouring sweat.
Right. Exactly.
You have to go back to the office.
It's not the sexy body sweat. That's the hot body.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, this is my favorite question, and it's been a little bit harder with the COVID happening, but what I always like to kind of know what's going on what's your next step? Like, what are you working on? What are you excited about coming up in the near future?
Well, the mug thing for me, the last 2 years, I've been doing mugs since that first Tiki Oasis. Holden at Tiki Farm walked in my booth and he's like, I want to make mugs with you. And at the time I was collecting mugs, and it really didn't enter my mind to start designing mugs. And so that kind of were my first mugs I did with him. That would have been like 2003. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing mugs since then. So the last 3-4 years, the mug market has just gone through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of
I don't know if you know this. We live in town with the Vantikis. We get to see their crazy.
Oh, cool. Oh, nice. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
Have you guys interviewed him?
Not yet.
I know.
He's been in the bar with me.
We kind of want to get into his shop and be like, let's have a tour, but I don't know if they'll let us do that.
We probably won't get. Just before this all started, that was the conversation I was having with him. He was getting his whole shop dialed in. I go, if I interview you, it was before all of this. I'm like, I want, when can I come into your shop and interview you and your wife and do it up there? Because he was in here. He's like, we could interview me here. I'm like, why would I do that when your shop's like right across town? Let's get in your shop and you can show people what's going on. That's what they want to see. And he does little Technical Tuesday videos now, which are amazing.
Yep.
And that's kind of what I was trying to get like a little snippet of. Like, let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love his stuff. So the way I see this mug thing going, just my opinion, it's kind of straying from Tiki. I mean, I think the Tiki mugs will continue, but I think there's a stray off where people not necessarily into Tiki are into these character mugs.
Yeah.
Because how cool is it to drink out of something that's, a character or a sculpt of a head or whatever. So I kind of see it kind of veering off from that. I see a lot of purist Tiki people saying that's not a Tiki mug. And it's like, well, okay, like I've done stuff that's not Tiki, but I didn't call it a Tiki mug. I understand the concept of, okay, don't call it a Tiki mug.
That's like when you go to Viva, and I can't remember who's doing it. They were doing mugs that were like an engine cylinder going up and down, or they've got like an engine on the side of them or something. Like, it's not a Tiki mug, but it's a cool mug, and the classic car guy is going to buy the credit out of that. So
I saw one recently that was an elephant, and it was super cute, but I was like, this is not even the right part of the world for a Tiki mug. But it was adorable, and I would have drank out of it.
So I'm like, I'm not into Star Wars mugs. I would never buy one, but assalamu alaikum, they're going to sell. People are going to buy that stuff.
Yeah. I have a book coming out hopefully this year.
He waits till the end to drop the big one. It's going to come out.
I was going to do it last year, but the COVID thing messed it up. And
there's going to be lots of pictures.
Lots of pictures. Yeah.
So
and I'm going to do my Duke and Repose portrait. I'll have that in there.
I'm sorry. What kind of portrait?
my naked Duke portrait.
Nobody wants to see this Buddha body.
Paint him like one of your French girls.
2020, I was doing so well, and then a little dad bod action crawled up on me.
Yeah, I'll be buying that one.
Awesome. So my girlfriend Nancy, she sells on Etsy. She does hair flowers.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know her. Yeah. Fancy Fruits is her business.
She's adorable, and we met the two of you at the Golden Tiki.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
That was like.
Yeah, so she does her hair flowers, and she sells on Etsy too. So her sales have kind of jumped as well. It depends.
I was gonna say, I remember
she like in a booth that was like right next to you?
Yeah.
I think you got earrings from her.
I think I bought earrings from her. Yeah.
Yeah.
She had like the little red, and she had to like re-glue the little red stones in them.
Yeah, she's kind of become known for this Audrey 2 sculpture she does, the Audrey 2 man-eating plant.
Oh yeah.
So that's been a big seller for her. And she makes those from scratch, a lot of handwork.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love to see all of the beautiful ways that people can envision something and then bring it to life.
Yeah.
Did you guys meet in the scene as art?
Yes. So we actually met at Don the Beachcomber in Huntington.
Rest in peace, Don.
Yeah, I know. Really.
Did you buy the Don sign? Were you the one who got it?
No.
No one will tell us who has the sign. I just keep seeing everybody posing in front of the sign.
Well, I think Spike just did a video talking to the guy that bought it. Spike.
Oh,
I haven't watched it yet.
yeah, we'll have to watch
And then
it.
Charles Phoenix did a picture yesterday in front of the sign too. So.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, well, anything else that you want to share with us?
I could show you a piece I'm working on.
Yeah.
I've done some mugs and I've done some artwork for Undertow here in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if you
still haven't seen amazing pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, they and their drinks are incredible. They're really good.
Are they open right now?
No, actually they were part of a coffee shop called Sip. And they rented a basement area from Sip that they turned into a really cool kind of more nautical, I guess. You felt like you're in a ship with portholes and they had video.
I've seen the photos, but that's it.
So it's super tiny. It's like really small. So I've done mug. I did some artwork for them. So they closed and they're actually moving next door to a bigger building.
Oh.
And it used to be a pizza place. So the place where Sip was used to be like an Avis lube, car lube place.
Yeah.
And I grew up in this neighborhood and I used to get my oil changed where Undertow was.
Yeah.
So it was the oil bay that they turned into this bar.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
I know. So little did I know I'd be having a Mai Tai in the oil bay at this oil place I got my car oil changed. In their menu, they have a fictitious story about what Undertow was. Undertow is a ship, and Captain Mallory and this dodo bird that they find, and they make land, and so it's this whole fictional story that they weave into their menu, which is kind of cool because it adds another layer to stuff.
I love that stuff.
So as a gift, I'm working on a piece this week for them. I thought I'd do a portrait of Captain Mallory, Lowry, I think it is. So I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, I like it.
Nice.
He's kind of drinking out of one of my dodo bird mugs.
The dodo bird,
That's
yes.
amazing.
Oh, I do love it.
So I got to do the background yet. I'm still working on it.
I like that though.
He looks like a guy that you should be able to party with.
Have you been to the Devil's Reef in Tacoma?
I have not. I've heard of it. I've never been there.
It's similar. We did a video on that too, but that's one thing about Jason and his wife is they got what's the book, The Old Devil Reef by I can't think of the author right now off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But anyways, so all of their stuff is based upon that theme and
cool
story. I love that stuff. I love it.
Well, yeah, it's funny when I've released mugs, Nancy's a really good writer. I'm a terrible writer. I'm more of a visual person. So she's been kind of writing fictitious stories around the mug, and it adds another layer to stuff. And my most recent mug I did was the rum cat, which is basically a cat sleeping in a rum crate. And so we made up this story about this cat was hanging out in the docks in Long Beach, and he's got some grease spots on him, and
that's one
and he's got a little Shriners hat on. So he started hanging out with the Shriners after the war, and so they made him a Shriner, and that's why he has to. Because Nancy, I was like, why am I putting a fez on this cat? It's like, it's like stick a bird on it.
Of course you're putting a fez on the cat.
Right, exactly. We need a backstory. Why is he wearing a fez? I don't want to be it's cool to have a fez on. So do you guys have a good tiki mug collection?
I would say it's good. Large though, it's not.
Yeah, it's not.
I think we have like 35 or 40
because we have
mugs.
these shelves like on the two sides of us, and they're not very big, like bookcases.
Right.
And we've kind of decided that whatever fits up there is what we can fit.
It's not like super special, but this is definitely our oldest tiki mug.
Yeah, nice.
This is the original.
When you put the
I found this,
dry ice
and once again, the only reason I bought it is because it was at an antique shop 2 miles from my house.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You've got his little golden monkey. This was our most expensive tiki.
Very
mug.
cool.
It was like $100.
That's great.
That's not, he knows what's that. That's not like
I thought it was expensive.
They were selling
Like,
it. They
my
only
shoes
made
don't
20
cost
golden
this much.
monkeys, and at the time I had just got Tales of the Golden Monkey in on DVD and was watching it from the 80s. And then I went to TikiCon, and Monk Tiki was like, "We have 5 of these golden monkeys." I'm like, "Well, I'm buying the golden monkey. That's what's going to happen."
Nice.
It was funny. Every now and so the Tiki Mug.
I think the one from the Jungle Bird in 2019 is the newest one I have, because we haven't gone anywhere since. We should probably let this gentleman
you
go.
have been so kind to sit and chat with us forever.
Yeah, guys, thanks for. I appreciate you asking me to come on. I don't do a ton of interviews, so hopefully I was somewhat entertaining. I don't know.
Totally entertaining. Thank you. That's why we talked so long, is because we're having.
I mean, the benefit of the interviews is we're stuck at home, so we're like, I can't really.
Yeah.
So what you were talking about earlier is our plan had been in 2020. Were like, okay, we're going to change up a bunch of things that we do. We're going to go to an event and shoot the event, which is what we've always done. And then on the side, we've always done antiquing and stuff wherever we're at, but we've never shot videos. I'm like, oh, we could shoot one of those videos. I go,
yeah.
And then we should interview people
at
the events and make these things. So we're like, so we could get like 4 or 5 videos out of a single event instead of one video, and like try to like get it to pay for itself more and take advantage of the fact that you're with people that you can interview.
Great people.
And then this happened, and I'm all like,
yeah. Well, like I always loved like podcast interviews that not just in Tiki or anything, but just that sit down and talk to someone, whether it's a famous person or a politician or whatever.
Yeah.
And they talk to them for 2 to 3 hours, because there's this media like surface of what you think someone's like, whether it's Hollywood or an actor or whatever. But then when they sit down and talk to them for 4 years, okay, they're a little different than I expected, because the media tends to kind of paint a picture of like, they're this certain way or they're known for this.
Well, they always want to put everybody in a cookie cutter.
Right.
The media does that, but then also like if you knew that you had 10 minutes to kind of get yourself out there, you would hit some bullet points, right?
Right.
But if you have a longer format, then you can just kind of let the conversation go. So,
but my hope after this interview is that you send me a message saying I did a lot. You had more fun with me than you did Tom Laura. So
yes.
I don't know. Well, I'm going to hold off till next time we hang out. See who gives us the most rum drinks.
Yeah. Send me your PayPal account.
So we'll get this in the video here, though. Thank you so much, Doug. I appreciate your time with us together today.
You've been a delight. We've had a really
thanks,
good time.
guys.
It is. It's delightful as always. And as you're saying, hopefully soon we'll get to meet and share some rum drinks.
Yeah.